Hi, I'm Hillsborough County Commissioner Sandy Merman. I'd like to take this opportunity to remind you how important it is to take time to prepare and make a plan for hurricane season.
I'm Tim Dudley, your emergency manager. We've learned many valuable lessons over the years and want everyone to be as prepared as possible this storm season.
In these uncertain times, it's more important than ever to have a plan and be prepared. COVID-19 has shown us that coming together as a community and being resilient is key.
Our team is working hard to keep Hillsborough County ready for any disaster and to provide our residents with resources in case of a hurricane.
To make sure you're ready this year, the first thing you need to do is to sign up for HCFL Alert. You'll receive current emergency information by phone or email.
Next, make a plan with your loved ones. Knowing your evacuation zone and evacuation route is crucial. If you have to evacuate, consider reaching out to friends and families that live outside the evacuation zone to see if they can host you.
If staying with friends or family isn't an option, you can always consider hotels or motels outside of the evacuation zones.
That's right, Hillsborough County emergency shelters are lifeboats, not cruise ships. They should be considered a last resort to keep your family safe.
If Hillsborough County emergency shelters are your only option to evacuate, come prepared. You'll need some additional items this year, including face masks, gloves, hand sanitizers, and other personal items.
At Hillsborough County emergency shelters, you should be prepared to practice social distancing and come with your emergency kit and the items your family needs. Remember, shelters are not a resort. Their last resort. They won't offer any amenities and resources may be limited.
During storm season, you should also keep your gas tank full and keep your emergency kit close at hand.
Make sure to check supplies in that kit, including medication, radio, flashlights, and batteries.
And as we mentioned, due to the COVID-19 pandemic, please include face masks or coverings, hand sanitizers, and gloves.
I want to echo what Commissioner Merman just said. These additions are essential for your health and that of others, especially if you need to go to a county shelter.
In addition, do not forget to pre-register loved ones who require special needs accommodations. Hillsborough has programs in place to help those individuals prepare and find safe shelter.
And don't forget about our furry friends. You'll need food, a pet carrier, proof of current vaccination, and your animal's county registration tag.
Have a plan, know your plan. For more information, please visit hcflgov.net/stay safe. Thank you.
Hillsborough County is utilizing CARES Act COVID-19 crisis intervention funding to provide support and financial relief to residents who have had a reduction of wage or are newly unemployed due to the pandemic. The funding aims to prevent residents from experiencing further financial hardship by assisting them with their rental or mortgage payments and past due utility bills. Residents in Hillsborough County, including City of Tampa, Plant City, and Temple Terrace, are eligible to apply. Funding will be on a first-come, first-served basis and will be given only if program requirements are met. Here are the eligibility requirements for families seeking financial assistance. Residents must reside in Hillsborough County, including City of Tampa, Plant City, and Temple Terrace. Impacted by a reduction in or loss of wages resulting from layoff or lessening of hours due to the COVID-19 coronavirus between March 2020 and July 2020. Have liquid assets that do not exceed $3,600, are on a current lease or mortgage plan, have past due utility bills, fall within income qualifications of at or below 120% area median income qualifications as reported on your 2019 tax return for your adjusted gross income for the year. Here are the documents you will need in order to apply for assistance. Scanned copy of the front of your valid Florida driver's license or Florida
Thank you, everybody, for joining us for August 12th Action Board meeting. The first matter of order tonight is going to be the installation of our new officers. So I just want to thank everybody for coming tonight. Those of you that are guests here tonight, thank you for coming. So we're going to call this meeting to order as of 5:05 p.m. Sharon, should I do the roll call?
Yes.
Okay. And I will do the roll call. Christine Long. Christine Long. Albert Coleman.
Here.
All righty. Thank you, sir. Dr. Benny Small. Dr. Benny Small. Frederick Sales. Frederick Sales. Gabriel Brown. Gabriel Brown. Maria Gillis.
Good evening.
Thank you, Ms. Gillis. James Gerard.
Hi, good evening.
Thank you, Mr. Gerard. Sharon Gordon.
Here.
Shelley Hamilton Ray.
I'm here.
Carl Harness.
Present.
Thank you, sir. Janine Hargret. Janine Hargret. Joey Henderson.
I'm present.
Okay, I hear you. Thank you, Mr. Henderson.
You're welcome.
Alita Keplinger Rodriguez. Alita Keplinger Rodriguez.
This is Carl Harness. That's my assistant. She should join the list.
Thank you, Mr. Harness. Kimberly Mitchell.
Miss Anderson, Miss Mitchell said she would be unable to attend tonight.
Thank you, Mr. Guida. Cindy Lott. Cindy Lott. Chen Mai. I hear you. Marcia Sedano.
Miss Anderson, also, Miss Sedano said she would be joining around 5:30 today. She had a prior meeting that was going to run over.
All right, thank you. I thought I saw Miss Lott on.
I am on.
Oh, there you are. Okay.
I'm sorry. I said I was here, but you didn't hear me.
Yep, there you are.
I'm sorry. Hi, everybody.
Okay. Angela Madero.
Did they skip behind?
Because you say something.
Kelly Mastrada.
Good evening.
Good evening. Myrna Hogue.
Present. Good evening.
Good evening. Noreen Copeland Miller.
I'm here. My hand is raised and I don't know how to unraise it, but I'm here.
Yes, ma'am. I hear you. Osea Wynn.
I'm here. Can you hear me?
I can hear you.
Great. Thank you.
Patrick Simmons.
I'm here, but I will have to exit around 6 o'clock.
All right. Ray Wong.
I'm right here. Thank you.
Yes, sir. Regina Gambrell.
I'm here.
I hear you. Rhonda Gendelsberger. Rhonda Gendelsberger. Rosa Hill.
Present, Madam Chair.
Thank you, ma'am. Samelia Davis. Samelia Davis. Santos Morales.
Good afternoon, everyone. I'm present.
There you are. William Thomas.
Present.
Thank you, sir. Yvette Lewis.
Present.
We got Zach Mills. Put my hand up.
Miss Anderson, that's the court reporter. So I just want to let you know about that one. Also, it appears that Miss Long has joined the meeting as well since you took the attendance for her.
Okay, I'll take that one off. Thank you, sir.
Yes,
And Audrey Ziegler.
Good evening, I'm here.
All righty.
Ms. Anderson?
Yes.
Hi, this is Sharon. I just have a quick request. Mr. Harness, I received notice that he does have a conflicting engagement, so if we could move him up on the agenda.
Yes.
Right after your mission statement and right before Mr. Coleman starts the installation.
All right.
Okay,
So
thank you.
All righty, so we're gonna do the invocation. I'm actually going to do it myself. So if everyone could please bow their heads. Dear Heavenly Father, I want to thank you for the opportunity to serve as the chair of this board for the last year. This past year has had some trying times due to weather, natural disasters, and disease in our community, country, and around the world. However, even with these obstacles, I have watched this board and staff overcome these obstacles and persevere, even when most would have thought that it could not be done. But we know that with you, all things are possible. Today, we welcome new officers to lead us into the future of serving the less fortunate of our communities. Lord, I ask that you give us the wisdom, knowledge, and integrity to continue to serve your people in a way that is pleasing to you. Lord, we thank you and honor you for guiding us forward. In King Jesus' mighty name, amen. Next, we'll have the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty, justice,
And justice. Wow.
Our mission statement: the Hillsborough County Community Action Board partners with community stakeholders to stabilize and empower vulnerable individuals and families to achieve self-sufficiency through advocacy and essential services. Mr. Harness?
Yes, ma'am. Thank you, Madam Chair, for allowing me this flexibility with your schedule. I just wanted to take a little bit of time to acknowledge the work of the board and congratulate you, Ms. Anderson, for your dedicated service and for your leadership and you and your team of officers over the past year. And to also, congratulate Ms. Hill and her new team of officers that will be assuming the roles later on today of leadership for the upcoming year. Truly, as you had stated, we are in unique times and difficult times. We're not in this alone. The whole world is experiencing this pandemic, and this is an event that is literally touching every aspect and every element of our lives. That's what makes this such a unique occurrence. However, we're in a unique position to have an opportunity to do some things that we normally don't get to do under such a structured philosophy and under such structured programs. And you as the board, you're very critical. Your function is very critical as we move forward in this unique opportunity and as we are in this unique position. One, we're challenged by the new demands of services above and beyond the services that, our team at social services and this board normally deals with. Two, we're challenged with how we balance the resources that we have to decide what services we're going to provide, because even the number of services and the variety of which we're being asked to give has changed. Everything has changed under this new scenario. And then, finally, three, and more importantly, we're challenged with how we're going to balance our resources to try to provide all of the services that we're trying to provide, not only our normal services, but all of the new services that are required that are being required of us from the pandemic. So, we're moving forward. These circumstances are challenging us. Our families are being challenged. Sustaining families the way we've always done things. Everything is new. We're in uncharted territories here, but I think it's critical. And you guys, the board and our staff, you've proven this. Through collaboration and through teamwork, nothing's impossible. And, we've been meeting the challenges this year. We've, with the board's leadership and with our staff leadership, we have been providing new programs that we've never been able to provide before, and on the fly. Usually it takes government a long time to get things in place and to get things instituted. But, we've been doing things pretty much on the fly, and they've been working, and we've been successful. And, this isn't going to be a short-term event. This is something that, we're going to be dealing with well into the end of this year, and most likely probably throughout 2021 into 2022. So we need to be prepared for that too. But again, I just wanted to thank you all for your dedication, for your hard work. You volunteer to do this. You take up your time to do this. And, we always say when folks volunteer to be on a board, we want to make sure that it's a valuable experience for them, and they're getting something out of it. And most definitely, you guys are. And we appreciate it. And, we look forward to working with you all in the future. And again, congratulations in doing your thing in such difficult times and in such a difficult year. We truly appreciate your efforts. Thank you so much.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, Mr. Harness. Next, we'll have Mr. Albert Coleman with Government Relations and Services Administrator.
Can everyone hear me now?
Yes, sir.
Yes.
Well, good evening, everyone, and so delighted to be at your board meeting / installation ceremony for the new officers for this upcoming year. And the current officers that are retiring, your contributions have brought us to where we stand today. And this moment becomes the starting point from where your newly elected officers will begin their service. And so we recognize and thank you for your leadership and sacrifice of time, energy, and skills that you have fulfilled the duties of your office that you currently are leaving. And we get ready as we move forward. So, Ms. Anderson, you have guided this board over the past year. Because of your knowledge, experience, you will be an important part of the success of the newly elected officers, providing assistance as an advisor to the executive committee. We'd like to thank you for your dedication, and we know that you will be an asset to the new upcoming board. At this time, I'd like to introduce and install the incoming officers. And they are Rosa Hill is the new chair. Joy Henderson, the vice chair, Regina Gambrill is the secretary, and William Thomas is the parliamentarian. So those are the new officers. So as we move into the installation part of the ceremony, and we will start by starting with the office of the parliamentarian. So as I call your position and read the descriptions of the duties of the respective officer position, I will ask for you as a new officer to say that you are, I am, okay? And I will tell you what the position, what the duties of the positions will be. So our first officer for installation is Mr. William Thomas. Mr. William Thomas. Mr. Thomas present.
I am.
Okay. It will be your duty to ensure that the Community Action Board meetings adhere to proper rules, procedures, and decorum of the assembly. Are you willing to assume the duties of parliamentarian, Mr. Thomas?
I am.
Congratulations, Mr. Thomas. You are now installed as the parliamentarian for the Community Action Board. Thank you. The next position is the Office of Secretary, and that is Ms. Regina Gambrill. Ms. Gambrill, are you available?
I am.
It will be your duty, Ms. Gambrill, to work with the Community Action Program sections recording secretary to keep the records of the CAB, act as secretary of the meetings of the CAB, record all votes, and keep a record of the proceedings of the CAB in a journal of the proceedings to be kept for such purpose, and perform all duties as pertain to this office. Are you willing to assume the duties of secretary, Ms. Gambrill?
Yes, I am.
Thank you, Ms. Gambrill. Congratulations on your installation as secretary for the Community Action Board. Thank you.
Thank you.
The next officer position is the Office of Vice Chair, Mr. Joy Henderson.
Hello, Mr. Coleman. I am here.
Mr. Henderson. Mr. Henderson, it will be your duty as vice chair to perform the duties of the chair in the absence or incapacity of the chair. And in any case of the resignation or death of the chair, the vice chair shall perform such duties as imposed of the chair until such time as the CAB elects a new chair. Also, vice chair serves as the chair of the bylaws committee. Are you willing to assume the duties of this office, Mr. Henderson?
I am.
Mr. Henderson, congratulations on your installation as vice chair of the Community Action Board, and thank you for your service that you will be rendered.
Thank you.
And for our final position for the Community Action Board, it's just the top position of this board, and that position is the office of the chair. This year, you have elected Mrs. Rosa Hill. Ms. Hill, are you available?
I am, Mr. Coleman.
Thank you. Ms. Hill, it will be your duty as chair to preside at all meetings of the CAB. At each meeting, the chair shall submit such recommendations and information as he or she may consider proper concerning the business affair and policies of the Community Action Board and Community Service Block Grant. Are you willing to assume the duties of this office?
I am.
Ms. Hill, congratulations on your installation as chair for the Community Action Board, and thank you for the services that you will be rendering in this upcoming year. Ladies and gentlemen, this is the new board. And at this time, we would like the past chair, Ms. Jennifer Anderson, to virtually pass the baton to Ms. Rosa Hills for her possession.
All right, next we have closing remarks by Audrey Ziegler, Director of Hillsborough County Social Services.
Good evening, board. Can you hear me?
Yes, ma'am.
Good evening, and thank you so much for the opportunity to speak this evening. I really do appreciate it. I know I usually talk to you guys at every meeting, and it's about board business and things you have to do and things we have to do, but it's an honor to this evening to do something a little bit different, which is to thank our outgoing members, our outgoing officers, and congratulate our incoming members. Before I read what I prepared here, I wanted to just thank Mr. Harness and Mr. Coleman very briefly for being here this evening. And whether you all know this or not, they are both champions of the work that you do. They are often in support of everything social services does as it relates to self-sufficiency. So you'll often hear them talking about the board members. You'll often hear them talking about the programs we offer. And you'll often hear them, if you're in my office or now at my house, hear them calling me with ideas about things we can bring to this board. So whether you know it or not, CSBG and the Community Action Board is definitely a priority to him and to both of them. And we talk about all of this frequently. So I'm happy that we went virtual for one reason, and that is that we've actually had more participation. So they're able to participate now because their other obligations have probably been canceled. So I appreciate you all being here this evening, but most of all, I appreciate your ongoing support. And whether this board knew that or not, I wanted to make sure I shared that. So thank you. So I want to take a moment from myself to not only thank our outgoing officers, Jennifer Anderson, Noreen Copeland-Miller, William Thomas, and Janine Hardgett, but I also want to congratulate our new officers, Rosa Hill, Joey Henderson, Regina Gambrell, and William Thomas. I very much look forward to working with the new board, and we always take our new chair under our wing and teach her the ropes so that she can be the voice for staff. So Rosa, expect nothing less of that. We'll meet with you soon, and we'll be working on what your priorities are for this year and how we can merge those with some of the priorities of the staff. And then we'll run the meetings somewhat together so that we can be on the same page and maybe have a seamless approach to how we conduct business. So with an interested and engaged board, dedicated officers and staff, I'm confident we will continue to achieve success in assisting individuals and families on their road to self-sufficiency. If you ever question why you are on the board, I want you to really consider why the Community Services Block Grant, our anti-poverty grant, is so important. With your guidance, we are able to provide the opportunity for low-income families work towards financial security to make choices for themselves and for their families, which ultimately results in improved quality of life, free from crisis to crisis, and having the means to thrive. So if you apply that to your own family and what that means to have the ability to live freely and to do the things you want, go on vacation, have the latest and greatest technology, have the best car you could possibly have, it's no less for the customers we serve. They also want a piece of the pie and to be able to celebrate on a daily basis. And because of the work you all do with us, we make that possible for quite a few people. I also want to commend this group for not skipping a beat as we transition to conducting board business virtually due to the COVID-19 pandemic. It has been a challenge, but we worked through those challenges and we are making it work so we're able to continue getting services and programs out and available to our residents, and that remains our priority, I'm happy to say. I would like to close this evening's ceremony by asking our outgoing chair and our incoming chair for an opportunity to say a few words. So Jennifer, if you could kind of recap your year, and I want to give you the opportunity to do so instead of being so ceremonial. I know you're very, CSBG is very near and dear to your heart since the minute you learned about it, and I really want to give you that opportunity to share your experience.
This year has been a little unusual and trying at times, as you guys know, especially with, COVID's kind of, made it kind of weird. And we've had some other obstacles that made it unusual. But overall, like Audrey said, there were things that were near and dear to my heart. The one project that we do is the scholarship. That's probably the one that's most near and dear to my heart. And I was very disappointed that we didn't get to do the scholarship program that we normally do at HCC. And so therefore that was one thing that I really felt like, was something that we really missed, but we did get to bless some children. They're going off to college. But I really appreciate everyone's support. Even, I had some illness this year, and everybody, there are several of you that called, checked on me, made sure I was all right on a personal level, and I appreciate that very much. And it was just an honor to get to work with you guys. And what I've learned this past year, I'm going to go back and sit down in a seat as a board member and probably have a lot more understanding of what I think. Before I became the chair, I didn't really understand what Ms. Miller went through. And so now it gives me more appreciation of what Ms. Hill is going to be living through, because you're that chair and you've got 20 plus personalities from all over the county that you're responsible for, keeping organized and what have you. And also the staff, the appreciation that I have for the staff is going to go forward with what I've learned being, working closer with you guys. And I really appreciate everyone and the respect and consideration and compassion that most that I receive so much of. I really appreciate all of you on the board and look forward to working with all of you for years to come. I had, Audrey will tell you, I had actually thought about leaving the board, and she and Maria talked to me, and I decided, no, that wasn't a good idea, especially coming from Plant City, where we don't have a lot of representation anywhere in Hillsborough County. And so we need to keep as many people from this side of the county engaged in Tampa and in Hillsborough County and in their workings of Hillsborough County. So I plan to be here for as many years. I think the bylaw says 10 years, isn't it? So yeah, I'll probably be hitting the big 6-0 with you guys. So, so thank you very much for the year. And I hope to be doing some really great things to come. I'm sure Ms. Hill has some great ideas. I've had time to spend with her at a conference, and we talked, and she's a phenomenal woman, very, very professional, compassionate, wonderful woman, and I think she's going to lead us on to do some great things. So thank you very much for the past year.
Jennifer, thank you so much. I'm glad that you had the opportunity to share your thoughts, and we certainly had a very successful year. And you're going to go down in history for quite a few things, as Mr. Harness mentioned, and setting the stage going forward for this current year. But the title that I'll remember the most is you're the only Hillsborough County Community Action Board chair that went to Puerto Rico during an earthquake. So to represent us. So we're glad you made it back safely, and we probably wouldn't have. We really didn't support you going, but we couldn't stop you. So thank you for doing that, and I'm glad you made it back okay. So in conclusion, I would like to ask our new chair, Ms. Rosa Hill, if she has a few words to start off the new year. And Rosa's never at a loss for words like me, so I know she has something to say.
Good afternoon, everyone. I am at a loss for words. But I do want to start with, when I came on this board, I was appointed by the agency I worked for, and I really did not understand what it is that this board did. But as I have spent the last couple of years and actually gotten involved, and involvement is the key to involve yourself. Once I got involved, I started to understand, and my passion grew for what we do. And I remember the first time I went to a conference and I saw or read the promise of community action. That stuck with me. We're about the community, the entire community. And when I started, we had most of our meetings right here at West Tampa Neighborhood Service Center. And I remember asking the question, if we are a county board, why aren't we going throughout the entire county? And with that, the staff put that together. So I thought that was awesome. Now we go through all four corners of the county, which I learned where Beesville is, which I probably would have never learned. Beesville is.
Mr. Thomas?
Not going throughout the county. So I just want to say, I'm young in this, but I know that I've had some great people before me that I can call upon for assistance. I know that I've watched this board grow from a few people to a full board of 21. And that takes people who are willing to give their time, give their talent, and their passion to the process. So I'm thankful for the opportunity to serve. I'm thankful for the support that I anticipate getting from every board member and staff. I look forward to working with my vice chair, Mr. Henderson. I know I have so much to learn from you, and I'm hoping that that my weight is not too heavy. I'm on a diet, so when I lean up, I don't push you off. You can just lift me up. Ms. Anderson, thank you so much for great leadership. You have been a tremendous asset to this board, your insight, your conversations. You think outside of the box, and you can tell, everyone can tell you have a great passion for what you do. So I do want to just finish this off. Before I go back, thank you to staff. Thank you to Kelly Mastrada for helping me understand, how the process works from a financial perspective, because everybody know I do grants, and I like to know how that reports back to our funding source. So thank you. But I want to end with a quote from the late Congressman and civil rights leader, John Lewis. And to me, it fits right in with our community action promise. And it says, "You are a light. You are the light. Never let anyone, any person, or any force dampen, dim, or diminish your light. Study the path of others to make your way easier and more abundant." And I believe that is why we sit on this board. We volunteer our time so that every person in Hillsborough County that needs our services, we are showing them and helping them to light their light and move forward on their path. So again, thank you. Thank you to everyone for your support. Thank you to staff, Mr. Harness, Mr. Coleman, and my outgoing chair. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Hill, or Madam Chair, I'm sorry. And with that, we're in good hands, so I leave the meeting to you. Thank you so much.
Thank you. So, they gave me this thing, but I don't know why I would need to use it. So moving right along on the agenda, because I know we have a lot to cover, and we do want to stay somewhat within the time frame. So the next thing on the agenda is the approval of the July meeting summary and the August agenda.
So moved, Madam Chair. William Thomas.
Second. Jennifer Anderson.
So the approval for the August agenda, 2020 agenda, and the July meeting summaries has been motioned and approved. All in favor?
Aye.
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 All opposed?
Aye.
All opposed? Okay, if nothing further, we are going to move to the Supportive Services Managers update. Mr. Gerard.
Hi, good evening. I'm James Gerard with the University Community Resource Center, and currently I'm helping out, assisting still in Plant City with the COVID testing. And since we last met, they have went from 3 days a week, 4 hours a day, to 5 days a week, 8 hours a day. So they're doing full 40 hours a week testing. in the Plant City location. And that's all I really have for center updates.
James, can I ask a question real quick, please?
Yes, ma'am.
Mr. Gerard, for Plant City, do they allow walk-ups?
Yes, they do.
Okay. There's been a dispute in Plant City over that, so thank you very much.
Okay.
Thank you, Mr. Gerard. Ms. Gordon, Sharon Gordon.
Good evening, everyone. Presently, I'm attending the 40th annual FACA conference. It's the first time using a virtual platform, and so far the sessions that I've attended, it's very informative. It's a great conference. I'm really impressed on how they were able to deliver.
Ms. Gordon, I'm sorry, I can't hear you.
You can you hear me now?
Yes, there's just interference with other people not being on mute sometimes.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I was just saying that the annual 40th FACA conference is great and very informative so far. The sessions are awesome, the speakers, and it's impressive how they were able to pull off this virtual platform. It was their first conference virtually, so it's been great so far. Our empowerment program, they're continuously fully operational. Our staff, they're acclimating well, and so far the customers that we serve in this program, they're pleased with the assistance that they receive. We haven't received any complaints so far, so that is all that I have.
Thank you, Ms. Gordon. Shelley Hamilton Ray. Is Ms. Shelley Hamilton Ray on?
She was, Madam Chair.
Okay, so we will move on to, if she comes on, we'll circle back, but to Chima.
Hello, I'm here. How you guys doing? And congratulations. I'm with South Shore Community Resource Center right now. So as James stated, the COVID testing days down in South Shore has gone to 5 days, but in South Shore it's from Tuesday to Saturday from 8 to 4 p.m. And then currently I'm assisting with the R3 Phase 2 CARES Assistance Program, which started on August the 3rd. And currently, I believe the last numbers were we had about 4,300 applications submitted.
Thank you, Mr. Hart. I believe Ms. Shelley Hamilton was trying to come in.
Can you hear me, Ms. Hill?
Yes, ma'am, I can.
Oh, okay. I'm so sorry. I'm not sure what happened there because I was actively speaking. As I was saying, Lee Davis is also, we've expanded testing there Monday through Friday from 8 to 5. Testing, again, is still going on. Last week, I did have the opportunity to listen in on the virtual conference for NUAC, and there were a lot of informative sessions that were talking about how we are helping people with LAHEAP funding during this pandemic, and that's really all I have for today.
Thank you, ma'am. Ms. Angela Madero.
Hi, good evening. The training staff is still continuing to support our department staff with technical support and training on our new gen system. And we are also providing support for the R3 program, as Chin mentioned as well.
Ms. Madero. Ms. Kelly Mastrada.
Good evening again. I just wanted to give everyone an update on the single audit. The county is currently collecting the information for the single audit that will be turned over to the auditors. And we should know around September, mid to end September, if the CSBG program has been selected as a major program to be audited. And in addition, the fiscal staff continues to support not only our department, but we are also supporting the R3 payments. So we're staying busy with that. And that's all I have.
Madam Chair. Can you hear me?
Yes, sir.
Oh, okay. Question for Ms. Mastrada. So Ms. Mastrada, the county just arbitrarily selects who will get audited, or how does that work?
No, the way that it works is that the every department that has grants, once a year we have to submit our estimated expenditures. Then based on the estimated expenditures, they see who has spent a certain threshold. And if you have spent over the required threshold, then you're considered a major program and you are chosen for the single audit. So it depends on a lot of times what the other departments have spent, where they are in their grant year.
I see. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Do we have any additional questions for social service managers? If not, we will move on to standing committee reports. Ms. Anderson, since you led up the last executive committee, I will acquiesce to you to give any updates from that, as I have not chaired an executive committee yet.
I'm here. Give me one moment. I apologize. The last committee meeting we had, I believe I reported at the last board meeting we had, which was the one, I'm trying to think here. I apologize. I've had a lot go on since last.
I could be incorrect. If someone from staff can tell me if we've had a report on our last executive committee.
So, this is Sharon. I'm just looking at the calendar. I believe the last executive committee, we discussed a lot of the, that was actually July 16th. We discussed a lot of the nominations of the current officer. That was revisited, and there was a lot of discussion on that. And from that, a special meeting was called. So, Ms. Anderson, does that jog your memory well?
Yes, I apologize. It does. Thank you very much, Ms. Gordon. Trying to find my notes. I apologize. I write everything down, so I don't. Yeah, our executive, oh man.
The nominations dominated the meeting, if you remember.
This is horrible, and it's really horrible that I don't remember. I apologize. I wasn't prepared, and I'm not prepared. Yeah, I remember the last board meeting, executive board meeting, when we had to call everything back for the new vote for the officers, and then we did that, and then we did the vote at the last meeting. And
Ms. Anderson, this is Maria, if I may. I don't believe we had another executive meeting after that one, after the last board meeting. So I think that was the last update.
That's why I'm looking on my calendar. I'm looking at my notes, and I don't have anything. Mm-hmm. And I keep everything written down on I have a stylus phone. I keep everything on my calendar coordinated with that. I don't show a different one since the one that we had calling for the special meeting that we had to bring the board back to a vote for the new officers that were elected at the last meeting. So I don't believe we had another executive board meeting after that. So I think I'm sitting here trying to come to grips with the report that I already gave and we already acted on.
You're correct, Ms. Henderson. I'm looking at the calendar. July 60 was actually the CAB meeting. It was on a Thursday instead of a Wednesday. So
yes,
there isn't anything to report.
Okay, thank you. Because I thought I was, I'm only 52. I thought I was, losing it.
No.
That was an exercise, wasn't it? That was a test. All righty. So yeah, the last one was where we had to, we discussed coming back to the board, redoing the vote, and then we did that. And then we did not have an executive meeting after that because we were going to be doing what we're doing today, which is bringing in our wonderful new chair and new officers. So, and that's the end of my report.
So, Ms. Anderson, if I may, this is Lorraine. It was July the 16th that you had that call meeting for the executive committee where you asked staff to put together all of the petitions so that we could have a slate at that meeting.
Yes,
the board members. Okay,
right.
So I have on my calendar July the 16th.
Right, and then
meeting.
And then we had a board. Then we had a meeting.
I think our actual board meeting was July the 8th, and then we had that call meeting on the 16th. From when I'm looking at my calendar.
Okay, Ms. Anderson, Ms. Miller, thank you so much for the clarification. I just looked at my calendar. We will have an executive committee meeting coming up on August 24th. So that will be the next one. I'm not sure if that date has been sent out to everyone, but it will be going out. And it's being scheduled, or it has been scheduled for August 24th. So
that's a Monday, correct?
That is a Monday. That is correct.
That is correct.
And I will be sending out. I'll be sharing an invite after this meeting. I didn't want to confuse things. Sorry.
Okay.
Thank you so much, Ms. Anderson. Thank you, Derek and Ms. Miller. Bylaws Committee, Mr. Henderson, Joey Henderson, Mr. Vice Chair.
Yes, Madam Chair. We have not had a meeting with the Bylaws Committee, but one of the things that I am going to recommend, as I like to try to streamline and make things a little easier, and I don't know if staff has the capability of doing this. If not, I do have staff that can do this, but I would like to hyperlink the document, our Bylaws Committee, or I'm sorry, our bylaws, so that it makes it easier to be able to find something without having to scroll and wear your finger out trying to find something. What this means basically is that we'll be able to click on a topic in the table of contents and have that information take us straight to that location in the bylaws. So that's something that I'll be looking forward to working with. Is there any reason that why this should not be done, or staff? Is this something that you're capable, have the capacity to do?
Mr. Henderson, this is Sharon. I'm not sure if Derek would, maybe communications. I don't think that the bylaws a public document on the Hillsborough County website. I don't think that it is.
This is Maria. It's currently a PDF, Mr. Henderson. This is a Community Action Board document, so you can change it as you see fit.
Okay, well then I'll just take it upon myself and may need to rely on some of our staff at Greater Tampa Realtors, and we'll get this document made to be a little user friendly, I guess, if it's a good word to say. So that completes my report.
Madam Chair, this is Noreen. If I may, that's a great idea. I think that's a great committee, bylaws committee meeting issue that Mr. Henderson might want to discuss with his committee.
Mr. Henderson, this is Sharon. I don't mean to interfere. Did you mention to add in hyperlink? I guess I just wanted to ensure that the hyperlink went to the source, the document. Is that what you were saying, to add the hyperlink?
Right. Yes. It's actually called I think a block link.
Okay.
Not a hyperlink, but yeah.
Okay. All right.
And I would like, Madam Chair, just to put a promotion out to anybody interested in serving on the bylaws committee, Ms. Copeland Miller, and anyone else who would be interested. I would love to have you join the bylaws committee.
Thank you, Mr. Henderson. I will do that. And I think your idea of a block link or hyperlink was a great idea, because I am thumbing through it and putting tabs in the printed copy of the bylaws right now. So that would be great. Budget and finance, which is also Mr. Henderson.
I have no current report. The committee has not met as of yet.
Okay, planning and evaluation is under me. I have not met with my committee as far as planning and evaluation. I do know that there are a couple of proposals that have been sent to staff. I've had the opportunity to just view one from the West Central Region Neighborhood Service Center, but we have not discussed it. And at this point, I would like to officially resign from being the chair for planning evaluation and open that up to anyone that would like to take on that role as the chairperson of the Planning and Evaluation Committee. I'm not sure if that's something we do at the end after we've done all of the committee reports, but I am officially resigning as the chair of the Planning and Evaluation Committee. So staff, is that something we need to wait till the end, or can we ask if anyone would like to take on that role now?
You can.
Chair, it's up to your direction. We could either ask for volunteers at this time, or we can have staff send out an email to see if anyone is interested, but we will take your lead.
Okay, with that, I would like to move on because we do have another vacant seat. And at the end, we can have staff send out an email on any of the vacant seats to see if we can get some volunteers to take on these roles. Okay.
Madam Chair?
Yes, ma'am.
Could we also ask staff to, it's probably in the bylaws, isn't it, though? I think I saw that the job duties of those committee chairs.
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, we'll include that.
Yes, thank you, Derek. That was on my list to make sure that whoever takes over the role understands the responsibilities of the seat. Yes, ma'am. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Madam Chair?
Yes, sir.
If I may tag along with you on that, knowing that as vice chair, that I do have the responsibility for the bylaws committee, and I don't want to hog all the committees. So I would like to also step down as chair for the budget and finance and open that up for someone who would like to step in for that and make it available.
So noted, Mr. Henderson.
Thank you.
Thank you. Public Information Committee, Ms. Sedano, did she ever get on the call? Was she able to call in?
Yes, Madam Chair, I'm on the call. Can you hear me?
Yes, ma'am, I can. Thank you.
Thank you. The Public Information Committee did not meet this month. There was no update. I don't have anything else to report.
Thank you,
We
ma'am.
will be meeting in
Oh,
September.
sorry. Okay.
There will be a meeting in September.
Okay, thank you so much for your report. And we do have a vacant chair for the nomination and membership committee. So as stated, we will have staff here, Sharon, send out these open committee chair seats to the entire board with the duties and responsibilities to solicit for anyone who may want to take on these roles, as well as anyone on the board who may want to join any of these committees. It is vital that we all play a role in heading up these committees or participating on these committees, since we are all responsible for the outcome of what happens with this board. So I look forward to everyone just raising their hand and shooting their emails back to Derek saying me. So I look forward to seeing who takes on this, and believe me, you will enjoy. Well, if I can speak for myself, with both budget and finance and planning evaluation, that is how you learn. That is how I learn more about what we do, how we do it, and what makes the whole thing work, how it all times together. So it'll be a good learning experience for anyone who wants to do it. Moving right along, standing, we just talked about the standing committee appointments. So I am not going to take on the role of appointing anybody. I am asking for volunteers, but it is stated that if we have no volunteers, the chair does have the option to appoint. I feel like people do a great job in things they like to do, and when you volunteer for something, then you put your whole heart in it. So I'm looking forward to volunteers. CAB Public Member Renewal Letters update. That will come from Sharon or Derek.
Ms. Hill, Derek typically has that update.
Okay, Derek, thank you.
Good afternoon, everyone. So far, we have received all of them except for the one from Mr. Sales and from Mr. Wong. And I spoke with Mr. Wong today, and he did reach out to Commissioner Merman's office. So I feel confident that we will be getting one hopefully soon for Mr. Wong. And it's really just Mr. Sales that will continue to follow, staff will continue to follow up with for that.
Okay, thank you very much, Mr. Guida. I'm sorry, did I miss something?
Yeah, I just had a question. Have we heard from Mr. Sales? Because he hasn't been.
I'm not sure if he's attending this meeting, but he has been attending the regular board meetings. In the past, the last couple meetings he has attended. So.
No, I think. Okay, never mind. Maybe I'm thinking about Mr. Smalls. All right, never mind. Ignore me. I'll go away.
Okay, CAB bylaws. Everyone should have received a copy of our bylaws in their report, in their packet. As I am doing, reviewing, making sure that I understand how the bylaws operate, which they dictate how this board operates. And I'm looking forward to working with Mr. Henderson to make sure that we are adhering to the bylaws as they are written, and that if there is any questions or concerns, that they are properly addressed. So does anyone have any questions about the bylaws?
Madam Chair, I do encourage also looking at the resolution 106 that goes hand in hand with the bylaws that comes from the county attorney.
So the resolution, is that something, Derek, that we can send out to the board members, please? Or was it in the packet? I'm sorry.
Yeah, it's usually at the end of the regular bylaws as an attachment A, I believe.
Okay. So the next items on the agenda, the risk management policy, the Whistleblowers Act, the single audit update. These are compliance, it's my understanding from staff, these are compliance topics that we are required, the staff is required to share with the board as far as how we operate. And Sharon, will you be giving any updates on these?
Before I speak, Ms. Gillis, did you want to speak on these items?
Sure, thank you, Sharon. Madam Chair, the Risk Management Policy Whistleblower Act, single audit are parts of the organizational standards that we must complete every year. Even though we're doing virtual business and a lot of things are exempt, our organizational standards are not. So we want to encourage all board members to look at those documents that have been provided and acknowledge basically that they have read them, and that will make us be in compliance with our organizational standards when we complete them now in November.
Okay, Ms. Gillis, is there anything that the board members need to sign as far as these, or is it just reading them and being knowledgeable of them?
Just the fact that they're on the agenda and that board members were supplied with a copy and that you as chair had acknowledged it is sufficient.
Okay, so that's the risk management policy, the Whistleblowers Act, and single audit update, right?
That is correct.
Or is it the entire list?
And the single audit, this is Sharon Hill, the single audit update was actually the verbal report from Ms. Mastrada, because there is not an actual document as of yet.
Does any of the board members have any questions with regards to these three items?
Madam Chair, I have a question. As I reviewed the items, I didn't see anything about conflict of interest. Is that a form that's all inclusive inside of these documents, or is that something separate? Conflict of interest. Should we be signing that?
The conflict of interest is done once a year. Derek ensures that we are in compliance with that. And that's done on an individual basis. These items are actually done as a group, if that helps.
And to Ms. Gillis's point, we did provide those to all the board members, and thank you to all the board members for getting those back to us. So we are in compliance with that at this time.
Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Gillis. Thank you, Mr. Guida, for that update. So we are down to the CSBG CARES Act budget update.
Yes, hello, Ms. Hill. Based from the budget workshop for the CSBG CARES Act, in your packet, you'll see the revised budget based on what we had requested. So hopefully, you've had a chance to review, and if you have any questions.
So does any of the board members have any questions on the budget updates for the CARES Act funds?
Madam Chair, if I may, this is Maria. I just wanted to congratulate the members that attended that workshop. I believe that it was probably one of the best workshops that we've had. We had a lot of participation and a lot of conversation, and I was pleasantly surprised that we got through so much information so quickly. So thank you so much to everyone who participated.
Thank you, Ms. Gillis. Thank you to staff. I too said the same thing. I was so happy to see so many people, on the call, participating, so many people speaking out, because sometimes we sit on these boards, which I'm on too, but sometimes we sit on the boards and we don't express ourselves, but doing that training, everyone had questions, everyone had an opinion, everyone had thoughts. I think that's awesome. I'm looking forward to that going through this year, making sure that everybody has a voice, their questions are answered, their concerns are addressed, as to how we spend the money and how we serve the public. So, refresh my memory. We broke this down into 3 categories, right? And do we need a vote to approve, to proceed, or where are we?
Ms. Hill, during the budget workshop, you did vote, but one of the areas that I mentioned is that the board voted on a specific dollar amount. Now, we knew that it would not, when we revisited the budget, it would not be dollar to dollar because the formula needed to make sense because we can only budget in whole dollar, not cents. So I guess for transparency and to ensure that we cross our T's and dot our I's, I would say to vote on what it is now. The allocation amount for each program category.
Okay, so go ahead, I'm sorry.
Madam Chair, this is Noreen. I do want to chime in. That meeting was an excellent meeting, and it did an excellent job chairing it. I think that what was requested was to narrow down the categories, which we identified 4 categories, that we get that report with the update of the categories that were addressed in the meeting. Yeah, because I don't recall getting it, so.
Yes, ma'am, that is a part of your packet. It was a part of your email. We are family relief assistance, employment and education tools, healthcare assistance, youth services, and that last line was supportive services that was required to be a part of the budget that we could not remove. So the question on the table right now is, has everyone had an opportunity to look at it? Has everyone had an opportunity to make sure that what we stated that we wanted during that training is inclusive in this document, and the dollar amounts are rounded to whole dollar amounts? But based on my review of it, it didn't change that much from what we calculated it to be during the training. So does anyone have any concerns prior to requesting for a motion that we accept this?
Madam Chair, I make a motion that we pass it as it's been allocated.
I second the motion.
Thank you, Mrs. Santos. Thank you, Ms. Miller. It's been motioned and second that the funding allocation for the CSBG CARES Act budget be accepted with the accurate dollar amounts according to the funding source regulations. Do I get everyone in agreement?
Aye.
I concur, Madam Chair.
All opposed? Thank you so much.
Point of inquiry, Madam Chair.
I'm sorry?
I have a question.
Yes, sir.
So now, we're voting on this now. Isn't the program already up and running and funds are being distributed now?
Yes, sir. We voted on it at the end of the training, but because the dollar amounts were rounded off in the whole amounts, staff just wanted it clear that it's the same document, that it holds the changes that we stated that we wanted.
Oh, okay.
It doesn't look exactly like the one that we left with during the training day.
Gotcha. I understand. Thank you. I do want to bring to the board's attention that I did have a discussion with staff regarding the verification of how dollars are being used. One of the concerns I have is with regards specifically to the rental and mortgages that will be paid, and the fact that the money is going directly to the consumer and not directly to the end user or the vendors. That did draw some concern for me as as you know, there's a moratorium on evictions and I'm sorry, yes, there's a moratorium on evictions as well as foreclosures, which is fine and good. However, a lot of those individuals who are small time mom and pop, if you will, landlords, they have bills to pay too. And if they aren't receiving the government has a great way of making a decision on one end and forget about the other end. And so I spoke with staff about it, and the conclusion is that the money has to go to the or is going to the consumer at this time. And they advised that, you know, we would let particularly folks who are members of the Greater Tampa Realtors, let them know that if they do have clients, to let their clients know if they're falling behind, that this is a program that they want to refer them to, and also work with them closely. My only regret is that with the city of Tampa, they have a rental assistance program as well, and they have made due to make sure that payment goes directly to the vendor. I'm sure there are some other steps involved, and it's not as easy as it may seem for a large county, but that it has been a concern of mine, and I appreciate the staff giving me some ideas and some consolation and alternatives in terms of how we can really make this work, and hopefully it will work the way that it should.
Madam Chair, if I may step in and just provide a little bit of clarification, would that be okay?
Yes, I'm sorry.
Okay, I'm sorry. I'm not good at raising my hand, and I need to learn to do that. So I'm sorry, back to kindergarten. But Mr. Henderson is correct that one of our programs is offering rental assistance or shelter assistance directly paid to the resident rather than who the shelter provider is, whether it be the landlord or the mortgage company. And the reason for that is because in our first phase of phase 1 of the R3 program, which is our county CARES dollars, it's not the CSBG CARES dollars, but our county CARES dollars, over 25% of the applicants were not eligible for assistance because their landlord refused to participate in the program by filling out the form that the clerk's office needed. So not only was it a very cumbersome process to collect that form, but it was also detrimental to the applicant because they were not eligible for the program, so we were only able to pay their utility bill. So one of the reasons that happened is because if you'll imagine, these are not landlords that are used to working with programs. These are landlords that are dealing with employed folks who are now dealing with a situation they're unemployed through no fault of their own. So we did a lot of research. We worked with our consultants, Ernst & Young, and we found out that there is a risk in paying landlords as well. So we weighed our options and we increased the program for up to 5 months of assistance, and that payment is made directly to the resident. So it's not likely, I mean, I'm not saying it won't happen. I'm not saying people won't misuse the money, but it's not likely that a household that was employed and had stable housing would arbitrarily decide to become homeless and not utilize the funding to pay back their past due mortgage. Now, we absolutely do not recommend this for our low-income, vulnerable population. We will continue going forward in business as usual and pay our vendors directly. So this is a unique situation, such as COVID is unique. We're trying to come up with creative programs to address the situation creatively as well. So I do agree with you, Joey. It's not a foolproof program, but I also agree that paying vendors directly wasn't foolproof either. So we had to pick kind of the direction to go. And we currently have over 8,000 applications pending, being processed. So if you can imagine us getting that funding out much quicker and in people's hands, then we went that route rather than delaying the process to work with landlords and try to educate them. So one thing we do know, and I'll add this, is that just by paying the landlord, it doesn't always avoid eviction. So we could have paid the landlord the past due rent and they could have evicted the customer the following month. So if that's the case, unfortunately, some landlords are not as forgiving and are not as gracious to work with folks. If that happens, while yes, Joey, the landlord will be left holding a significant past due balance, but our residents will have the money in hand to seek new shelter. So there's a lot of pros and cons we weighed in this program, but this absolutely does not apply to our community services block grant funding.
Thank you for the explanation on it. I didn't know that one little bit of information. I suspected it was difficult in terms of dealing with the number of variety of vendors that are out there. But I did not know that, that piece that you had some
So, and of course,
from other lenders or
right. And of course, we tried this early on. So maybe they would have been more motivated going forward now that they're 5 months in arrears. Maybe the providers or the vendors would have been a little bit more amicable to accepting the government funding, but that would have also taken us time to test that situation. So if you look at the landlords that did participate, they're not landlords that we typically pay. So they're just not used to working with programs, used to working with the paperwork, putting their tax ID number on a document and handing that back to a resident. So a lot of landlords were just very uncomfortable with the process. So I'm happy to say at least we were able to pivot and have a new program, and maybe, maybe there will be some downfall, but I think a lot more people will be helped and not become homeless if they participate with their landlord in a solution rather than just misusing the funds, which I can't imagine. When these are households like ours, I can't imagine that we would just take that check and not pay our living obligation and then be without another resource. So I do agree with you, Joey.
I understand.
Madam Chair. Madam Chair, if I may finish,
Ms. Copeland. The city did call upon me to help assess the program that they had before they rolled it out. And then they ultimately made that decision to go ahead, and they were actually working with 211, who are actually managing and distributing the funds and what have you. And I will check with them just to see how their program is running in terms of paying those rents and mortgages directly to the vendors. But I appreciate the fact that you give me some other things to think about, and by all means, if there's anything that I can do in terms of getting an audience for social services to discuss this for the next time around, I'll be more than happy to help with that.
Well, obviously, we appreciate that, Joey, and we'll definitely reach out. So thank you so much. I appreciate you understanding the changes too.
Madam Chair, this is Osea. I was part of the city's program, the relief program, both for individuals and businesses, and we faced the exact same challenge with working with those smaller vendors and getting the 1099s and having them to have an element of trust so that they felt comfortable with giving us the information so that we can pay them directly. So I think this is something that's common across the board. And in looking at proceeding going forward, it will require a level of education with those smaller vendors to let them know how this would actually benefit them. But Mr. Henderson, we did have that same challenge, and we're still currently dealing with the same challenge.
Thank you.
Okay. Madam Chair, if I may, I do want to commend the county staff on being flexible and finding a creative way to help our people, because I cannot tell you how many folks call me when they're about to be evicted because the landlord does not want to go through all that paperwork, and they just don't want to do business like that with the county. So I commend you, Ms. Ziegler, and your staff on finding a way to keep people from being evicted and homeless. Thank you for that.
Thank you to the board for your support. I can tell you that I reached out to Mr. Harness and I said, please just hear me out before you say no. And so I came armed with a bag of, or a list that turned into a bag of reasons why we should do things differently. And then subsequently, once I gained his support, we took our show on the road and we had quite a few people to support. But trust me, this was the quickest, fastest, best way to get money in people's hands quickly so they could become part of their solution and resolve their issues rather than continuing to sit there and not know how they were going to pay that past due rent. So I appreciate your support as well. And I didn't think to ask because it was not CSBG, but I'm happy to have your support regardless. So thank you for spreading the word, please let residents know to apply. The program is still accepting applications. Talk to landlords and let landlords know to refer their customers that are past due, and then have them validate with the resident that they applied. And what we are doing is sending a notice of decision saying you're eligible and for how much. So if the landlord can get that document in their hands that says this applicant is eligible for $4,000, now they become a team and working to resolve that crisis. So we're not trying to hide anything. It's very transparent, but we actually don't have a relationship with the landlord, the customer does, or the tenant does. So the more they can communicate together and work on the problem together, I think it'll be a successful issue. And again, it won't be without any problems, but I think we're going to get assistance to the most number of households possible as quickly as we can. So I do thank you for your support.
Madam Chair, one quick question for Ms. Siegler. Approximately how long is it taking them to get that letter from the time they apply?
So you all know that determining eligibility takes some time. So while people are providing their documentation, they're not always providing the documentation that is relevant to their case. So we're having to call customers, we're having to ask them to provide other documentation, we're having to work with them on their cases. So it's taking us a little bit more time than we had hoped. In phase one, it took us 6 weeks to get through all of the cases. We have quite a few more staff dedicated this time around, in addition to the Ernst & Young team. They have a call center of 25, and they have about 40 processors on their side looking at cases. So I think it'll be quicker than 6 weeks. And we've already, Maria can tell you the number, but we launched last Monday, and as of this Monday, we had assisted already, 50 households, Maria. So funding has already started to go out the door. It's just not as fast as we had hoped. Through no fault of ours, it's really the quality of the applications that the customers have submitted.
I mean, I've explained to them that, normally this is a program that would take like 6 months to a year to kick off, and you guys have done it in 2 weeks, or in a matter of weeks, you've gotten this program up and, and to be realistic, but what we do here with my program, my nonprofit is housing. And so of course, I've got landlords sending people here, people coming in. And so when that kicked off, I'm like, okay, on Monday morning, on the 3rd, make sure that you're on your computer at like 7:59 or it was 10 o'clock, wasn't it? Whatever, like 1 minute till. And I've got them calling, of course, calling. And I have no answers except for be patient. And that's the only answer I have, which of course isn't good enough for business people, as you can well imagine.
So what I can tell you is one of the reasons that the application process remains available is while what we've made public is that there's $12 million for the program, we are looking at the demand. And so there probably will be an increase in funding to support the program. So if you know people, the application process still remains open. I encourage you to have them watch the small video that explains what they need prior to beginning their application, what they need to upload. It sounds cumbersome, but it's really 4 or 5 documents. If they have those ready and they can upload those, we are looking at the cases that have everything first and getting, so we can start pushing those through. So any assistance you all can give us in communications and getting applicants prepared, there is going to be additional funding added to that based on the demand we're seeing. So I expect that to be announced soon, as we process applications.
Is there a way for them to go on the system and look to see if they're missing something? Or that's something that's come from you guys?
I believe there is something, and they can also call the call center. There's a 1-866 number. And
we did that yesterday with one young lady, and after an hour, I gave up because I didn't have time to spend there.
The call center is not experiencing, I think they only took 200 calls yesterday. So Jennifer, check the phone number because I think that doesn't sound right.
I believe, Audrey, the call center stated that their calls were 6 minutes apart. So maybe Jennifer does have the wrong number.
Okay. Yeah, I didn't think there wasn't a huge call volume from day to day. They're averaging between 200 and 300 calls a day. So that doesn't, with a call center of 25 reps. So I think there's capacity. And I'll ask Derek to send out those handouts again as an attachment to an email, and those will have all the phone numbers and the eligibility criteria and the video link. Thank you all very much.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
Okay, thank you everyone for that update. So we just went over the CARES Act budget. So now we're down to the CSBG budget update.
Yeah, so for this part, Kelly Mistrada, you may want the budget, the current budget information and expenditures is in your board packet, and Kelly Mistrada could speak more to it if there's anything additional to report. However, the reason why this is on the agenda is I wanted to focus in on the youth development college explorer activities. There's $61,530 allocated for that. And we do not have a strategy yet on how those funds are to be expended, what services are going to be provided. So this may be something that you'll want to task the Planning and Evaluation Committee to start discussing this, however you want to proceed with this.
Yes, thank you very much. Sharon, just for clarification, what is our timeline?
Rosa, this is Kelly. The grant expires on March 31st, 2021.
And I just wanted to add that we would want to start now because last grant funding year, we executed a program in January and it was very tight. Getting the contracts prepared, well, not contracts, but our proposals prepared, approved by the board, getting the partner situated if you were to go that route with using a partner this year. So we would want to start now and hopefully get a vote no later than the October board meeting, or at least by the October board meeting.
Okay, so what you're asking for is if we have any proposals on the table that may fit within the MPIs of how we can use this money, or does the board have any ideas on how we can allocate spending this money, correct?
Madam Chair.
This is Kelly. It might be, normally I go over the budget as part of Joey's financial committee update. If you like, I can go over the budget and what's been spent now. There are several areas, or almost all areas, that are significantly underspent at this time. So if you're going to be looking at how to repurpose those Youth Development College Explorers activities dollars, you may also want to look at the other categories to see if you have a comfort level that you will be able to also spend those funds by March 31, 2021. So if you like, I can go over the entire budget and where you stood at the end of June, or you can just rely on everybody to look at it themselves. It's up to you.
No, I would like for you to go over it, please.
Okay. This is as of June 30, 2020, the self-sufficiency family empowerment category. The total budget for the entire grant year is $400,000. At the end of June, the total year-to-date expenditures were $75,167.35. The education assistance, the total budget is $171,500. The year-to-date expenditures were $550. For supportive services, the total budget was $940, and that none of those dollars have been spent. For community food pantries, the total budget is $35,400, and there have been no funds spent out of that category. For Parks and Recreation, the total budget is $53,800, and there have been no expenditures in that category. For the advisory board projects, the total budget is $6,000 with zero spent. The scholarships, right now I'm showing, because it was pending modification, that the total budget was $195,000. There was nothing spent as of the end of June. However, I can report that during the month of July, we did process the scholarship payment, so you will see that go up next month. For the Youth Development College Explorer activities, the total budget is $61,530, and there have been no expenditure spent from that category. For crisis programs, your budget is $90,750, and there's been nothing spent on that. In your packet would be included the letter of concern, stating that your target rate as of June, the grant is 25% expired. So anything that is not within 10% of that 25% is reported on the letter of concern, and the direct client assistance was reported on that because it's only 7% spent.
Madam Chair, this is Ms. Jefferson. First of all, whoever decides to take over the volunteers for the Budget and Finance Committee, I want to say Ms. Strada makes it very easy for you. So you'll get a lot of help from her along the way. But a question I have with regards to the Parks and Recreation, and am I misunderstanding? I thought Parks and Recreation opened up partially and was able to provide some services. And if that's the case, what would be the reason why we haven't spent anything out of Parks and Rec?
Parks and Recreation normally bills quarterly. I did not know that they had reopened, and they may be providing services. I can reach out to the person who does the billing for them and ask if they'll be submitting an invoice for the first quarter.
Okay. And the only reason why I ask, and again, I could be mistaken in terms of them being partially open, but the only reason why I ask is because I know, again, at Greater Tampa Realtors, we were going to be assisting a couple of county parks as a result of some vandalism that has occurred, and our national association has grant funding that enables us to help with public and municipality types of parks. And so I was just curious as to why that money is still sitting there. And as you had mentioned, Ms. Strada, they could be just sitting on their bills and have yet to disperse them out. So thank you.
We will miss you as being the chair of the Finance Committee.
Well, thank you.
And Madam Chair, I was going to ask about the community food pantries because I was under the impression that they were doing some community distribution with the community food pantry. Is there a schedule out for that? I know in the past it's been one, so I'm not sure why nothing's been spent out of there because I know they've done some. Could you give me an update?
Madam Chair, if I may, the food pantries have been put on hold because there's so many other entities that are having food distributions all over the county. So we basically held off, and when all of those start, dying down, then we would tap into these dollars. It didn't make sense to double and triple efforts and spend our dollars, CSBG dollars, when there was other entities out there doing food pantries. So we will schedule once, again, this grant goes through 2021. So we're going to hold off on scheduling those.
And I can piggyback off of Ms. Gillis and Ms. Mistretta to speak on both programs. I've reached out to Feeding Tampa Bay, and Ms. Gillis is correct. They did have to, due to the COVID, the scheduling did not occur as it would typically in a normal circumstance. However, they are working on a schedule. In some of the months, they will double up because the budget has 12 mobile event pantries, which would equal like 1 month each month of the grant funding year. But they will double up. So they are working on a schedule. And we've discussed the months and the months that will have actually 2 events. So that is currently in progress.
If I may?
Yeah.
The problem with this is in East Hillsborough County, right now, a program called Feeding Plant City is going out into the food deserts and taking food out there into the rural areas where people can't get into town due to transportation problems that we have. Because the food pantry that we have here in Plant City that's taken over the responsibility of what normally, like, we have Feeding Tampa Bay that comes to the resource center that's not coming now. Now that group is going to be responsible for the city limits as well, because the food pantry that we have in our community has some pretty staunch guidelines. And so when you're thinking that everybody is getting served in East Hillsborough County, in other words, in the Plant City area, that it's not happening. And so therefore, I was very shocked to find out that the city limits is not getting truck that it used to get into the city to the resource center, because one of my partner agencies and I, we go and help and volunteer. And we got up one Saturday morning and they had sent a email to someone to find out that we had gotten up early for nothing, and because they weren't doing it. So, I mean, what is supposed to go, I don't know. What are we supposed to do in East Hillsborough County?
Madam Chair, if I may, this is Noreen. When the schedule is ready, I do ask that Ms. Gordon get it to the board so that we don't be left whole. I know this goes to 2021, but if it's 12 distribution dates coming up that nothing has been spent, hopefully by September, October, they'll have a schedule ready and that the board does get a copy of that so we know that monies are spent. I think our worst nightmare is to have all this money left over and then have to make some change. Thank you.
Madam Chair, if there's some needs in Plant City and East County, I'll be happy to work with the organizations over there and set up some days for.
I'm already working with you, Christine.
You can add some more.
Yeah, I need more, and yeah, you can give me a call tomorrow. We'll talk about it.
Okay.
You guys are already helping me.
Okay.
And Jennifer, this is Rhonda with Feeding Tampa Bay. If there's anything more that we can do for sure, aside from the mobile food pantries, I know you've been in touch, I believe, with my director of food resources.
And I've sent my paperwork into him, and I don't get the greatest communication with him. I'm sorry, but it's just true.
Okay. We can take that one offline.
I'd appreciate it. I really would, because I was supposed to be getting stuff from USDA for Feeding Plant City, and it went to Feeding Tampa Bay, and then USDA said I needed to get it from you guys, so that's what we've been trying to do. And I really, if it'd be okay for me to get your number from Derek and call you and kind of fill you in on my issue, maybe you could help me.
Madam Chair.
No problem.
Thank you.
Madam Chair, this is Noreen. Rhonda, thank you for being on the call. I know what the conflicts of interest, but I certainly hope that you can maybe help expedite the schedule for our CSBG dollars, so that I know a lot of people are feeding, but again, it's pockets in unincorporated Hillsborough County that are not receiving food. So if you could look at that for us, and certainly it helps expedite spending those dollars, because before we know it, 2021 will be here and we'll still have $35,000 sitting there that have not been utilized. Thank you.
Absolutely. And rest assured, we will make sure we get those scheduled. And I can work with my team on this. But my understanding is that we paused not on Feeding Tampa Bay side, but per the county. So if I'm incorrect on that, please let me know. But we vamped up our services out into the community, so I'm not sure where the disconnect is, but I'll find out.
I appreciate it. And thank you, Ms. Coble Miller, as well. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you guys for the conversation around that one particular line item of the food pantries. But based on Ms. Strata, there's several line items here we're going to have to look at soon.
Madam Chair, this is Kelly Mistretta again. I also wanted to point out that as far as the supportive services, as you know from your time as the chair of the Finance Committee, we normally hold on to those until the end of the grant or towards the end of the grant and identify where they can best be used. 1 year we bought school supplies. 1 year we bought clothing for families in the Family Empowerment Program that needed uniforms to go back to work. So I just wanted to point that out. I also wanted to let everybody know that the CSBG CARES money is an entirely different grant, an entirely different pot of money. So beginning next month, you'll be receiving 2 reports. They'll look very similar, but one will be for the regular CSB dollars and the other one will be for the CSBG CARES dollars. So I just wanted to make everyone aware of that now so they can be looking for the 2 separate reports.
Okay, thank you, Kelly, for that. So it's going to be vital that we get a committee chair, we get a meeting, so we can start looking at these dollars and start working with staff on how we're going to spend these monies down prior to the end of the grant. We know that we have 2 years, I believe, on the CARES Act money, and we have a shorter window on the actual budget. So I want to encourage everybody to start taking a look at this and start thinking about where we need to go, what we need to do, and with staff guidance, we can put some things in place to go ahead and spend this money down. The last thing that we want to do as a group is have money that we can't spend. We do know we're in a COVID crisis, and a lot of places have shut down or are not doing business, but a COVID is the reason why we don't want to give any money back, because we know that there's so many people in need during this crisis. Certain things are slotted for certain reasons. I understand that better than anybody, that you can't spend certain things on on things outside of what you said you were going to spend them on, but we need to be very creative, and I'm soliciting for everyone's participation in this process. So Maria or Kelly, do you want to add anything else, or Sharon, before we move on from this?
No, Madam Chair, but I really do appreciate your words. I think it's very important that the board take an active role in ensuring that we look at programming and make sure that we're on task.
So, Madam
Chair, I had one question about the FEP families. I'm just concerned there is that much money left in the self-sufficiency empowerment. And I know it's a lot of folks that are in need. So how many people or families are we serving currently with that? That's quite a bit of money for FEP, and doesn't look like it's moving, look like it's stagnant. I understand about COVID-19, but I think a lot of folks are in need. So I'm not sure how that process is going currently.
Ms. Miller, for a period of time, due to the COVID crisis, and a lot of staff were reassigned to address the pandemic. So we did have to hold off on new FEP intakes. However, we resumed those intakes a couple of weeks, but the participants that we did already have enrolled, we were still serving them, providing them their financial assistance. So the program is on track. Just for a period of time, we did have to I guess temporarily stop any type of new referrals because the staffing was just redirected to more of a crisis mode when the pandemic started. So hopefully that answers your question or gives you some level of comfort.
Thank you, Ms. Gordon.
So, Madam Chair, you're basically asking that we come back to our next meeting with some ideas of what programs may apply to these different categories?
I'm hesitating on my answer because my wheels in my head are turning.
Because as you had mentioned, sometimes the CSBG dollars can be they're very specific in terms of what they will do. And particularly for our newer CAB members, I don't know how we can help them understand what would be eligible, so that they can come back with some very solid recommendations, so that we can come back with some solid recommendations to help expend these dollars.
Ms. Rosa, may I speak? Ms. Hill?
Yes, go ahead.
So regarding the regular CSBG, the regular CSBG, we're not speaking CARES. Some of the programs you may have to revisit how the services are delivered. So for instance, of course, Parks and Recreation was affected. due to COVID. They had to temporarily suspend their summer camp programs. And then they partially reopened, but then they were affected with that partial reopen and had to close some of the sites because of it's in the news. So I'm not saying anything new, because of some COVID related issues. I guess some staff were exposed and they had to close some of the sites. So actually, I have been in communication regularly with Parks and Recreation. So they are revisiting how they deliver the program. So for instance, the after school program tomorrow, excuse me? I'm sorry. So tomorrow, I believe there is a school board meeting tomorrow. So they're actually following the direction of the school board. And they're looking at changing their service delivery model to opening e-learning sites at their parks and recreation facilities. Some of the sites will provide Wi-Fi. Actually, it's a close partnership with the school board because I believe the school board is also going to provide Wi-Fi access. So once I get that information, then ideally the Planning and Evaluation Committee will have a chair and we'll be able to meet before the next board meeting so that we could really, really hone in on these programs and see how much has changed and what has changed, and make a decision from there.
So I do understand that we have, dollars in place in different places. The one that we don't currently have a provider in place for is the Youth Development and College Explorer program, right?
We don't have any direction on how to proceed or where to proceed with those funds.
Okay, so although we may be able to sit and discuss, partners changing the way they provide their service, how the service is delivered, we need to come up with or decide on how the $61,530 is going to be spent. We have no pending proposals on the table as far as youth providers that I know of, as far as service providers that are looking for funding, right?
That is correct.
Okay, so Mr. Henderson, to answer your question, I believe our primary focus right now is youth development and how we would spend that money. So I would ask the board to think about, how we can do that. And of course, we come back to staff, work with it. I don't know if we would advertise it or I don't know. That's something that I would have to discuss with staff. And then our second direction would be to focus on the rest of these categories where we have providers or activities in place and how that can be modified so the money can be spent within the timeline. Make sense? Anybody else on the board?
Rosa, this is Kelly Mistretta. I don't mean to interrupt, but previously at a prior board meeting, the board voted to remove some of the funds from the College Explorer activities and put it in the scholarships so that every student would be able to get a scholarship. So I believe the total scholarships were $212,500. So some of that, like $5,000 will be removed from the youth development activities and put into the scholarships when a modification is completed.
Great, thank you.
I have one question, Madam Chair.
Yes, ma'am.
This is Jennifer Anderson. The youth development, is that wholly limited to College Explorer activities, or is it anything that would do with youth development?
It is my understanding that it's not limited to College Explorer. That's why College Explorers and, parentheses, I think we had this big discussion at another board meeting where if we put it exactly in that name, we could only use it under that name. Right. So we put it in youth development so we can be more creative on how we spend it, but as long as it's a youth program.
All right. Okay. Thank you very much for clarifying that.
And if I am incorrect, staff can correct me, but I believe that is what we did.
I think that was before my time.
Okay, so,
Chair, if I may, this is Noreen. The only reason I raised that about LPT because as I look at the report of concern that the direct clients assistance is at 7%. So that seemed to really be a point of concern on that letter as I'm looking. So that's why I raised that about LPT. Thank you.
yes, ma'am, Ms. Miller. I believe when the Planning Evaluation Committee comes together and the Budget and Finance Committee come together, we're actually going to take a look at all these line items. Staff will, give us an update and some direction, some ideas, and we will do what we do best. We will collaborate. We will put an excellent plan into place, and we will expend these monies so we can stay the awesome board that never gives any money back that we've been for the last 3 or 4 years since I've been on board. So that is my direction. That is where we're going. Okay, so if no more on that, we'll move right along. To advisory council proposals, as far as I know, there is only one on the table. Are there any updates on those?
Yes, we received this is Sharon speaking, Ms. Hill. We received the West Central Advisory Council, and I received actually this week the South Shore Advisory Council. They had submitted it and I provided some feedback to it, so I do have that. And Plant City, it's still pending.
This is me, Anderson, sorry. Yeah. I got my hand up. I did get a email, I believe, I can't remember if it was from Derek or Sharon. I believe it was from Sharon. I did submit it. It didn't get stuck in I have an issue with things getting stuck in my outgoing box, and it wasn't in there that I could find. And then I put my, I've got to resend it. My issue is that I was having I thought I was having issues with my computer. And so it's in the shop. And in fact, it was issues with my Wi-Fi at home, which is why I'm at my office tonight. So I've got to get it back tomorrow. I will resend it. It's all done. The whole package is done like I did last year. I do, everything. I'll sew it all up and send it. So I will send it again, Sharon. You should have it by, probably over the weekend, but by Monday you'll have it. The whole kit and caboodle. Okay, I apologize. I thought you already had it. Nobody said anything to me, so I thought it was all a go. So
okay.
You will have it.
Yeah, that's fine. Thank you. Yeah.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so thank you, Ms. Gordon. Thank you, Ms. Anderson. These proposals, it will be handed off to the new plan evaluation chair and that committee. So again, volunteer to take on one of these committee chair seats, because we do have a lot to do and a short window to get it done in. Before we move to social services update, I see in my packet that we have a letter for Harold Jackson. Is that something that should have been on the agenda that I overlooked?
Madam Chair, thank you for bringing that up, because I was going to ask if you would review that, because I was looking at the letter as well. So thank you. And he's coming from the low income sector.
So is this an appointment, an appointee for the board?
Yes, I make a motion that we accept Harold Jackson.
If I may, I'm sorry to interrupt, Ms. Copeland-Miller. We do need Mr. Harrell's address in order to determine if he is eligible for the low income. The address he provided is of his business, so we will need his home address before we can move forward on that.
Okay, thank you, Ms. Gillis. I'll get that to you tomorrow. To Derek. Thank you.
Madam Chair, just to remind the board, particularly those who have been around, Mr. Jackson, and I know Mr. Jackson, I have a lot of respect for him. He was on the board at one time, And I don't know if he had to step down. I might have missed a memo on that. Staff, can you give us some insight on that?
If I remember correctly, he was representing, oh my God, his
Tampa Family Health.
Tampa Family,
Right.
and his employer did not reseat him, and they actually took their seat back. They did not appoint another person.
And Madam Chair, he is coming for, as a community rep from the low income sector. He serves on the West Central Region Advisory Council. And it's why he's being submitted now. He's not coming representing Tampa Family Health. He's coming representing the low income sector.
Thank you, Ms. Miller. There is an address on here. Is this on this letter under Mr. Jackson's name? I don't know if that's his address or if that's an address to a different location.
That's a work address. So I'll send his home address to Derek.
Okay, thank you. All right, moving right along. Social services update. Ms. Ziegler.
Good evening again. Most of the time that I wanted to dedicate for my item would be to provide an overview of the R3 program, which is the CARES funding for the county. And when Mr. Henderson posed the question, we were able to cover that. So I think I was able to provide quite a bit more information than I probably would have. So I appreciate the questions. I'm sorry, my dog's going crazy. It's that time. The other thing I wanted to mention is just a reminder to please read your emails when Mr. Guida sends things out or the highlights report. So sometimes the board might feel like staff isn't being forthcoming with information and programs and effective dates and things. And I can assure you that anything that the Social Services Department does, the first thing we think of is how do we educate our board so that you can be our voice in the community and make sure that the people that have seated you or even in the low income areas are able to get the information. So if you could take a minute to hold those emails until late in the evening or whenever it's comfortable for you to just kind of get reoriented with what's happening in social services, I think you'll find a opportunity in the community, and that would certainly help. And it'll help you be more of an extension of the staff and not necessarily feel like you're disconnected from us. So I would really appreciate that. And if you see anything in the highlights report that causes concern or question, please bring that to our attention and we can always expand further, such as we did with Mr. Henderson's question about the R3 program. The only other thing I want to add, because I know Ms. Gillis needs a couple minutes too, is to just let the board know that in addition to all of the programs that we've always provided or historically provided, and now the CARES funding, the R3 CARES funding, the LAHEAP CARES funding, all the special projects that we're working on, we also are still maintaining our seat at the Emergency Operations Center. So we have a presence there that's responding to COVID needs and all the testing that you heard the center managers talk about. And we also have a lot of staff dedicated to planning for hurricane season. So we'll be calling upon you to educate the community too about how social distancing will happen should we need to activate one of the shelters or all of the shelters, I should say. So I'll be providing additional information to you as that progresses through the hurricane season, and hopefully we won't need it. Knock on wood, pray, knock on your head, whatever. But we're not positioned just yet with everything else we have going on for a storm. But if we are, we will be looking to you to be our voice in the community to share with people on how they can be successful, hopefully not coming to a shelter, but if they need to, such as our vulnerable low-income population will probably be the ones in the shelter. How do we prepare them to do that? We had a scare a couple weekends ago with Isai. I can't pronounce that, but that was very eye-opening to say that, there's going to be quite a few more people in need and we'll have to rise to that occasion as well. So just keep that in the back of your mind that that's also something that social services is working on. And if we can help you all, help your communities prepare, we absolutely want to do that. So thank you so much. Unless there's questions from me, I won't take any more of your time.
Thank you, Ms. Ziegler. Ms. Gillis.
I will make this very short since we're running over on time. Just wanted to let you know that the executive order to extend virtual meetings was completed, and we will be doing the same platform until at least October. Also wanted to thank those board members that are participating in the FACA conference. I'm hearing great things. I know that they had some hiccups with their virtual platform, but I think that they're fixing those and getting through them. And as I mentioned before, we're doing our organizational standards in a few months. So we will be reaching out to the committees and different board members to participate and provide some information. So more to come on that. And that's all I have.
Thank you, Ms. Gillis. So, are there any more comments from the floor?
Are we in the good of the order, Madam Chair?
Yes, sir.
I would like to add a closing comment as well. This is William Thomas, Plant City. And actually, I'll expand a little further the next good of the order at the next CAD board meeting. Ironically, as a parliamentarian, salutations is my speaking point today. And I think that's something we definitely need to be keeping in mind of, that we as board members recognize each other correctly. There was a incident, not even incident, an event that occurred a couple of weeks ago. And not only was this lady my mother, but she was a 2-year term CAD board chair. And so she had brought it to my attention that we definitely need to make sure we are aware of each other and address each other accordingly. And so I'd like to definitely expound on that during our next good of the order as a parliamentarian. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Thank you, Ms. I'm sorry, for the good of the order, the only thing that I want to add for us going forward is I would like to see if anyone from the board has anything that they think they might want addressed as part of the agenda, that we start sending those in to staff and having those vetted out to see if they are appropriate agenda items or if they are just topics for discussion. So sometimes people, a little hesitate to speak up, but if it's something that you feel that we need to discuss and it might warrant an agenda item, then I would like to see it vetted and put on the agenda going forward. So you may see an email coming out to Derek, from Derek, asking if any of the board members have any topics that they might want to see if they fit on the agenda or just to have as discussion topics. Anyone else for the good of the order? If not, it is.
I'm sorry, Madam Chair, I was on mute.
Yes, sir.
I do, and as going along with Mr. Thomas's recognition of each other, want to have a round of applause for Ms. Yvette Lewis, who has been appointed to the City of Tampa's, I think it was a housing commission of some sort. Ms. Lewis, are you on the line? I don't think she's here, but at any rate, I happened to read that in the papers recently.
Oh, yes, I am on the line. I did. Thank you. I was trying to unmute myself. Okay. Yes, the mayor did appoint me to the Economic Development Committee. So we'll see how that goes. Yeah. Thank you for that recognition. I appreciate that.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
Congratulations, Ms. Lewis. Is there anything else for the good of the order? Anyone else? If not, based on my computer time, the time is 7:11 p.m. Thank you so much. We did go a little bit over, but we had quite a few items that we need to address. And thank you for your participation and your support again. And with that, am I supposed to tap this gavel or am I just supposed to say meeting adjourned?
That's what the gavel's for.
Before you say the meeting's adjourned or hit the gavel, congratulations on your first meeting.
There we go. Thank you, guys.
Thank you.
Stay well, everybody.